48 Blocks project and what we're doing with the Arts Foundation, creating murals in the city, is really having a beautiful, positive effect.
When I first found the Atlantic City Arts Foundation, the piece that first caught my eye was a giant mural on the wall by Kelley Prevard of a woman with her hands outstretched. And I immediately said, I need to be involved in this. More people need to see this.
I like to use my art as a tool for making positive changes and inspiration and love. I'm just happy to share my art with the world. There was such an outpouring in love from the community. So many people will drive by every day honking their horns like, Kelley, go girl. One of my favorite moments, I posted a couple pictures on Facebook of me painting a mural, and there was a child that was really interested in art, and she said, I would love to come and help you paint, and she came out and she painted. And it was such a beautiful moment for me to be able to share what I do with someone. And she did a really good job. She actually painted the man's ear. It was beautiful. A moment that really touched me as well was a woman that came up to me and she said to me that I've been waiting 62 years for this. She had been waiting to see something beautiful and something that represented who she felt she was in this community. And that was a very touching moment for me.
It was like a magical moment. The whole community is coming out. We had young people come up and try to help out. We had people who were like offer to give snacks or food. And they would like go up to all of us and say, hey, can we help out any way? You know, sometimes it was nice because, you know, they would say thank you. I was like, you're welcome. And I would pretend to be the artist.
Yeah. My uncle was out there, my aunt was out there. My brother wrote the poem, he helped do the mosaic.
Yes. Yeah.
We had Naeem helping us out. Like we really had a true kind of support. Like I never felt like I was alone. There was never a day that I was just there by myself. It was always a support system.
Yeah. The love and support that we got every day. It was every single day.
This is part of a revitalization of the city, and there was the Arts Foundation. It was a call for artists to do these murals, and I grew up in Brigantine, right over the bridge, and I just thought I've always wanted to kind of come back and you know, put the effort of what I learned into beautifying hometown.
For Atlantic City Arts Foundation, you always want to tie the art into the community. It's important for the artists to express themselves, but it's also important for the art to speak to the people.
You have to go and consider the whole environment that you're going to make a lasting piece of art for many people.
A lot of artists are quite in touch with subcultures and with maybe people who are going through rougher times in their life. Those dark corners are there, and it's not about rubbing them out, but perhaps about understanding what's in them. I want more people to look into those darker corners and to take the risks of speaking to people who they share the city with, because these people probably have better stories, probably tell better jokes, have probably lived more interesting lives, and they're interesting to talk to and to ask if you can help them.
There's a lot of ideas. There's a lot of people supporting the change. AC will find its spot again. That there was a heyday. We saw it can happen. So it's like, why not again?
My parents are immigrants, so they were very much like, if something breaks, you don't go buy a new one. You fix what's broken, and if you can't fix it, then you tear it apart and use those pieces for something else. I started coming to Atlantic City when I was a young girl with my parents, and it was so much fun. And and now here I am as an older woman, and it's so cool to be revisiting this place, but now like as someone who's actually contributing to the urban landscape of this place in which I know. And and I'm always down for working with organizations that support empowering, youth and finding new ways in which youth can excel and and ideas around how to really big up a neighborhood and make it, not just beautify it, but really think about ways in which to enhance it visually, physically, spiritually.
What we wanted to do was not just be able to show off the amazing artwork that we have here, we wanted to show off the amazing city that we have here. And we wanted the docents to introduce some of their own personal experiences of Atlantic City, what they love about our town, what's so special about it, and what makes it great, and interject that into the process as they gave the mural tours. And nobody took that more seriously than Jean did.
This role gave me an opportunity to be on the jitneys with folks as we drove around the city and talk about the murals and the artists and the stories behind how the murals came to be.
When I took that first mural tour, it was amazing and awesome to see all of the murals. They're beautiful. But then what really stood out to me was kind of the history behind some of them and the meaning. And Atlantic City is obviously a key city in the state. Arts focus on revitalizing and improving communities. So to be a part of something in Atlantic City outside of the casinos and to really make a difference, not only in beautifying the city, but to help educate and expose people that might not be exposed to art and potentially attract tourism for something other than the casinos, was really important to us.
The mural tours were actually so well received that we're looking to try to make it a permanent fixture here in Atlantic City. So we're trying to find the funding now to make it a year-round adventure. So you can take a mural tour in Atlantic City and hear the stories of the artists who created the amazing pieces. When we decided that we wanted to reach outside of the community to try to bring in some internationally recognized artists to work here in Atlantic City, we did what most programs do. We turned to Instagram. One of the artists I've been following for a long time and had just been blown away with their work was BK Foxx. Her photorealistic murals were just jaw-dropping. So she was one of the first people that we reached out to come paint in Atlantic City, and she said yes pretty quickly. She actually cut her vacation short and flew in directly from Florida to come work here in Atlantic City. And I picked her up at the airport at about 1 o'clock in the morning, and the first thing she asked was if I could take her to her wall. She didn't want to go sleep. She wanted to go right to the wall to see what she was going to be working with. And we went in the parking lot and we met Tommy, who's the parking lot attendant. And he looked at her and he looked at the wall and he said, "You're gonna paint that whole wall yourself?" "I don't think so." And she turned and looked and she said, "If I had a nickel for every person that said that to me, I'd be rich by now." Picked her up the next morning and she went right to work, and I don't think she stopped for about a week straight. She's maybe the hardest working person I've ever met in my entire life. She worked 17 to 20 hours a day to create her vision. She had a vision to create a GIF, which means she had to paint the image 3 times over top of each other. So when she would finish, she would have to start all over again the next morning and repaint the entire image and do it day after day. And she had to finish at the same time every day just so she could take pictures from the exact same spot to create the GIF. Knowing that her mural was less than a block away from the old Trump Plaza site was a big inspiration and a big cause of her wanting to come paint a mural that said "not for sale," because it was sort of a statement to not just Atlantic City, but the country in general, that we're not for sale, and that this is a place of people and it's a community and people live here, and that needs to be remembered and respected and not forgotten when you're looking up at the glitz and glamour of the casinos, and they need something to interact with, and they need inspiration, and they need to be remembered. And she was able to give that through a piece of art, which is truly amazing.
This culture, not just mural arts and art, but particularly graffiti culture, it's an international passport to the world. It's such a beautiful community of like-minded individuals that has grown from this culture. It's really fascinating.
It's a lot of talent from around the world.
We wanted to paint here because we found it very interesting to come to the US, get to know Atlantic City because we've never been here before. And also one major factor was that 48 blocks gave us the possibility to paint this gigantic wall. The main topic of our wall would be communication. It's about sign language mainly.
With 48 blocks, one of our greatest challenges every year is how are we going to accomplish the goals that we set. We set some really lofty goals and we work really hard to try to attain them every year. One of our biggest goals that we've ever set is doing 10 large-scale murals. The funding is essential to what we do and to these projects. The goodwill of the community and the great spirit of the artist can only take us so far. It really does take all of us to do something as big as 48 blocks.
Art is a big sign of upgrading or beautifying, and I think it's really important to remember that a lot of the people that live in certain communities, they might need an upgrade in some ways, but not in the ways that everyone else thinks they need. So it's important when you place these murals in these neighborhoods that you place them thoughtfully and that you're considerate of the residents that live in that neighborhood. How do you make it so that they feel a little bit involved or a little ownership over it? It's like a story. It's like part of their identity, their neighborhood. And as a muralist, I always try to do my murals thinking about doing research about the neighborhood, meeting people, talking to the youth, and then, you know, making sure that it's relevant.
Here, what a mural represents is different. There is that tie into community and that tie into some type of progressive improvement in the city.
The murals are kind of the gift to any class, any race, any age, to anyone in the city. You don't get to hang it in your wall. It's here for all to enjoy. Art for all.
Watching the community and the children in the community come out, find something constructive to do with their energy and ways to find outlets to be creative and share, you know, what's inside of them and building that sense of community, I think is for me what is most meaningful.
So many people in many different ways are affected by seeing art, and a lot of people are like, hey, I didn't know I could do that. When you give people the opportunity and you give them access to see something that they maybe haven't seen, it opens up their mind to bigger things. And as long as we make sure that we are staying in touch with the community and making them a part of it, I do feel that this will be a beautiful thing that can be a part of the rejuvenation in a real and authentic way.